Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is Tuesday, March 26th, 2024. If you are rocking and rolling and having trouble sleeping, we are in eclipse season. There are big geomagnetic storms, and let's dive in. If you haven't subscribed already, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel. There is so much happening. We had a lunar eclipse in Libra occur yesterday at 2 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 5 degrees and 7 minutes of the cardinal air sign of Libra. A full moon is always a time of endings or completion. It tends to be more relationship oriented and more emotional. A full moon eclipse or a lunar eclipse is like a full moon on steroids. To have a lunar or a solar eclipse, the nodes of fate have to be within 18 degrees of the sun and the moon. There's a very karmic and fated tone to eclipses. Otherwise, we have a monthly full moon or a new moon. To have a total eclipse, the nodes of the moon have to be within 9 degrees, and the closer, the stronger the eclipse is. Yesterday's eclipse was a penumbral eclipse, meaning that the moon passed through the faint outer part of the Earth's shadow. So it's in the penumbra, but it's still like a full moon on steroids. I did an event on Sunday and I heard of two layoffs at that event. And then yesterday, unfortunately, I heard of another layoff. And just to be aware, eclipses are a very pressured time. We can feel them a month before, and we can feel them depending. And the next eclipse is going to be a whopper of an eclipse. We can feel them up to 3 to 6 months after. And the total solar eclipse on April 8th will loom for a long time. It's going to be visible in 10 states, 10 states in the United States, in parts of Canada, and in Mexico. So we're definitely going to feel it. The sun is exalted. The nodes of the moon are only within 4 degrees of that eclipse. And it's in areas where the sun is very strong and powerful. But right now, we're processing the lunar eclipse, and the nodes of fate are always involved. The South Node is that which you're meant to release. Libra is a partnership and a relationship sign. So likely there are relationship issues surfacing. There are breakups. There could be fated encounters. Sometimes there are major beginnings on full moon eclipses and major endings on solar eclipses, on new moon eclipses, and beginnings on full moon eclipses. It's eclipse season. I got a break here. So the point is that they're very unpredictable. They're more Uranian in their energy. And frankly, we are in the new age of Aquarius, which is dominated by the planet Uranus, the planet of enlightenment and awakening, but also chaos, brilliance, technology. And the geomagnetic storms are making things wacky with technology. Eclipses can be very chaotic. Things can collapse. There can be earthquakes. There was unfortunately a huge collapse of a bridge, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, I believe is early this morning. And 7 cars, I believe, fell off. I'm still catching up on things because there's so much I've been, studying and doing with all of this. But that's horrible. And there actually was a bridge that collapsed last month. I think it was the 22nd of February in China. I don't remember the name of the city, but in that case, a cargo ship went in and struck the bridge. And this is a major port town in Baltimore. So this is a big deal, a huge deal, and very eclipse-like, very disruptive and chaotic and scary and sad. Unfortunately for the people involved, but that is the energy for all of us in the sense that eclipses can really rock our world and make things seem very, can for a brief while seem very uncentered and without a lot of security, but they are meant to shake you up and rattle you. Not like that. That's an extreme and unfortunate example, but it is an example of how things can suddenly seem like the world is collapsing beneath you, which obviously that would feel like for those poor people. And that is the energy of eclipses. They can bring in very exciting opportunities. It's not always negative, and I want to emphasize that. I've seen people get major job offers, fated encounters and meetings, great trips that are unplanned. I've had that happen in a good way, something that was eventful. There can be great things that happen with eclipses, but they are a time where the timetables get rushed. Things seem very pressured. It is not a time to usher ultimatums unless you're really ready to back it up. Because with the full moon eclipse that we had yesterday, Venus was conjunct Saturn, and Venus is exalted in Pisces. There is a lot of Pisces right now in the sky. We've got Venus, Saturn, Neptune, and I'm forgetting one. I think Mars, and they're all, yeah, Mars as well. And so they're all in the sign of Pisces. But in the full moon eclipse chart, Venus rules the sign of Libra. It is the planet of relationships and love and money, but in this case, partnerships, what you value. Libra is the sign of balance. This South Node eclipse, eclipses are always beginnings and endings. One begets the other, and they're turning points, and they make us see things in a way we never have before. And the South Node is the dragon's tail. So there is something you release, even if you are beginning something new, whether it's a habit or maybe you're beginning a new job or a partnership. So that's eliminating a way of life for that. But this was an emotional one. In this eclipse chart, the sun was conjunct Neptune out of sign. Neptune is now at the last degrees of Pisces, which is interesting because we're seeing a lot around, well, the bridge is over water, obviously, and in this case, obviously, cars fell, plunged into the water. In the same case last month, Neptune is getting to the final degree of Pisces. Saturn is also transiting in Pisces for the next couple of years, and they're going to be co-present starting next March, which they have not been since the mid 1800s. And Neptune rules the ocean, and it can feel like being lost at sea. It can feel like that emotionally for people struggling with addiction or depression. This can be a very difficult time. There is a lot of homelessness throughout the world. People feel scared about their future security and their present security. But this is a time where those of us that are able to come together to bring love and light to those that aren't as capable to help themselves right now. And it's an emotional time. So with these eclipses, so with the first one, there's a lot of Pisces and a lot of Aries. We're transitioning as we build up to the solar eclipse because they always come in pairs. That's the biggest eclipse of the year, and that's the one you really want to pay attention to. Although if this lunar eclipse on March 25th hit your chart, hit an angle, or the sun or the moon, you got hit, or wherever it fell in your chart, that's where you're bringing completion. As a South Node eclipse, what do you want to release in order to have more balance in that area of your life and to partner in a healthier fashion? And the total solar eclipse is going to occur on April 8th. That's going to be at 19 degrees and 24 minutes of the cardinal fire sign of Aries, where the sun is so very strong. It's exalted in Aries. The North Node is only 4 degrees away, so it's a very strong eclipse. The sun is so strong in Aries. And years ago, when I studied about eclipses, I read that solar eclipses are more Aries-like in nature because they're more about new beginnings and initiating things with self. Lunar eclipses tend to be more Libran in nature because it's an opposition, I versus thou. It's more relationship oriented, although some would argue that they're Cancerian in nature because Cancer rules the moon. But I do feel relationship issues often surface with eclipses, with lunar eclipses, particularly when they're in Libra, which is the sign of relationships. Breathe. A lot of us are having trouble sleeping. I'm included. I've got crystals all around me. Starting a crystal business very soon that I'll be selling on my site and in my page and in my groups, but I want to wait a little bit. Why do I want to wait? Well, you don't want to start something new unless it comes into your lap out of the blue, because they could be very fated opportunities with eclipses. It's a time to plan. I've been planning this a while and I've got some great things. So I know what I'm doing, but Mercury, the planet of communication, transportation, how you do business, you have to communicate well to conduct a business. And if you're shipping things, you want to do that well too. Mercury retrogrades in the corridor of the eclipses. So on April 1st, between the first eclipse and the second, which happens on April 8th, it retrogrades at 27 degrees of Aries, which will set off where Pluto, the cosmic compost, the planet of death and regeneration, stationed direct in the fall of last year, the last time it'll ever be at 27 degrees of Capricorn in our lifetime. Pluto is almost done with the Capricorn story of many old systems and ways of doing things, and on the corporate level, ways of life, etc. But we're not totally done with Pluto in Capricorn yet. And I just fell off. I don't know why I was saying that one. There's a reason, but anyway, there's so much happening, and you will feel very harried and hectic with that, and that's okay. Take time to rest. I know why I was saying that, because Mercury is setting off for Pluto retrograde. We're stationed last fall. Mercury in Aries, where the North Node of Karma is transiting, saying, "Be a pioneer." Be courageous, be optimistic, initiate new things in your life. We have to be strong. Mars rules the sign of Aries, a peaceful warrior, a happy warrior in a very sad time. And so Mercury will retrograde close to the end of Aries. It reached its shadow on March 19th when it got to 15 degrees of Aries, where the North Node of Karma is currently transiting. And that's where Mercury will station direct at the end of April on the 25th. So we're all getting a preview of Mercury retrograde, but it's retrograding in the eclipse season. And when we get a lot of information, things get brought to light, and we get to see things in a way we never have before. And we've got Mercury retrograde in the very first sign. How can we be more enterprising in what we need to do and proactive in what we need to do, and not be fear-based? And I'll talk a lot more about the upcoming eclipse. Venus will enter Aries on April 4th. That's a little while away. That's before the next eclipse. I'll be back on Friday. I'll talk more then. So much happening. Cleansing, saging. Palo Santo. I don't sage anymore. Get out the bowls of salt. Make some music. Do whatever you want to do. Let go of the negative energy and take care. And I'll see you soon.